Bigfoot cooking.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Cooking, where today we are making ribs on the smoker. That's right, we're going to throw these guys down with that traditional 3-2-1, but we're going to do something a little bit different and something that I really haven't seen anybody do the comparison. I've seen where they do wrapped, unwrapped, whether you do tinfoil or butcher block paper, but we're going to try something I haven't seen. I've got my butcher paper here, which I'm sure you guys have seen before. This is the peach paper, they call it. It's just basically butcher paper. I don't know what else to call it. But we're going to wrap one rack in the butcher paper, and we're going to wrap the other wrap. We're going to wrap the wrap. We're going to wrap the other one in parchment paper. So we're going to see, is there a difference between these two papers? That's right, a little curiosity. We're going to call it science today. So we're going to conduct our science experiment on these two ribs, like I say, using the 3-2-1 method. And for that, well, you know, everybody's got their own rub, right? Everybody's got their little favorite thing they want to do, whether they brine them, whether they, soak them and just bathe them in barbecue sauce. You're not wrong. I mean, whatever you like is the way to do it. For me, this is how we're going to start this process out. We're going to do a drier rub. We're not even going to use mustard or anything on it. We've got a tablespoon of kosher salt, a tablespoon of pepper, a tablespoon of paprika. Now, honestly, you could stop there and that would make a pretty solid rub. Everything else you do is just, it adds a little more to it, and there's nothing wrong with extra flavors, but I don't know, some of these guys go really complex out there with some of these flavors that at the end of it, you may notice, you may not. So I'm gonna keep mine pretty simple. After the paprika, I've got a tablespoon of brown sugar and a teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder. That's all we're gonna use to make the rub for it. Now, while it's in the smoker, I'm gonna use a little bit of apple, what is this? Yep, 100% apple juice. I wanted to say apple cider. I've also used apple cider vinegar in the process. Again, there's 100 ways to do this. Whatever works for you, that's the right way. But we're gonna spray it with this as we go along. So let me get this kind of straightened out a little bit and let's make our rub. Now you've seen what's in the rub. Again, not complex ingredients and not anything difficult. We'll of course start out by dumping in our salt, pepper, paprika. Now the nice thing about paprika too is it gives it that nice little, auburn brown, dark color. It adds a little visual along with the flavor. But back to the rub. We'll dump in our one little bit of brown sugar, onion powder, and garlic powder. Now we're gonna put the lid on this guy. And what's that one song where you just, there's so many where you shake, shake, shake. The goal is to break up your brown sugar. That way it's mixed in here really nicely. And of course you could do this by hand, you could do it with a fork, you could do it however you need to do it. You just want to make sure that it's all mixed up and mixed together nicely. Now, we got our rub, let's prepare the ribs. And of course for the ribs, there's a membrane on the back and there's that debate on do you take it off, do you not take it off? It's really not that difficult. And for some reason, when I got these ribs, one of them has a membrane, one of them don't. So whoever the butcher was, thanks dude, you saved me a little bit of work. Now let's get the other one. Now this is another one of those things where there's half a dozen ways to do this and every one of them is right. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the back of in this case a fork, but fork, spoon, butter knife, what have you. Get in here where the membrane is. See that little piece of skin right there? We're just gonna go under it, kind of tug up on it. See, I got my finger under it and get a good little piece of it. Ooh, it's tearing on me. Now this is where you can either man up and just grab it by hand and pull the skin off, or a piece of paper towel will also help you with this too. It gives you some more surface area to grab it. We're just gonna get a hold of it here. And it may tear on you too, that's okay. If it does, you're not doing this for competition, all right? Competition, they expect a very certain immaculate piece of something. I got half of it that time. But in this case, it's going on the dinner table. And for the dinner table, well, this looks great. Hence why I'm not trimming off the ribs or the rib ends here, trying to square it up and make it perfect. We're just gonna go with this. So now that that is off, I'm gonna flip this other guy over and we are going to season it up. All right, we'll take our rub here. Now, another reason why you don't make this like 20 pounds at a time is seasonings, as they stay together, as they age, they lose some of their kick. So I'm trying to make just enough here to coat these ribs up and not really have a bunch left over. That's why there's only so much here, but we will have plenty for this guy. You come up high and you drop it down. That way you get a good coating over all of it. And what we'll do once we get this on here, we'll give it about 5 minutes to kind of sweat out a little bit over here, and then we'll flip it over and do the other side. All right, 5 minutes is up. Flip this bad boy over. Flip this bad boy over. Now for me, this is where I do a lot more of the seasoning because there's more bones on the back side, more meat on the front side. Let's get this thing coated up. Now, if you wanted to, before you put this on, you could have used a binder, which it helps hold a little bit better, but if you've got time to let it just soak in for a minute, the salt tends to pull a little bit of moisture out of the meat, and it helps this set as well. Also, once this is on here, you don't want to rub it in. You could come back and you can pat on it to make sure it's fully set, but you don't want to rub it because when you do, you can actually pull up seasoning from one area and you got a naked spot. And let's face it, it ain't gonna be as good in that one little bite. You want this all to be good. So after this sits here for about 5 minutes, we're gonna head outside, we're gonna fire up the smoker, and ooh, we're gonna get this party started right. All right, the seasoning has set in nicely. Let's go ahead, we'll set it off to the side here. And now it is time to fire up the smoker. For this guy, piece of cake. You just plug it in, we're gonna crack the door open, so that way, when you first light them, you want them to breathe a little bit. That way the smoke gets out and that initial light, it just works better. Leave it open when you first light it. We'll power this boy on. Fan kicks in nicely. And now we're gonna wait for a little smoke.
You guys know what safety is. Safety is having a fire extinguisher when you're lighting this and not leaving it unattended. This guy's trying to burn the forest down. I don't know what to do with him.
Don't want to forget too to have some water in the bottom of this. Reason being, when you're smoking, the water will help keep the ribs, I hate to say the word, but the word is moist. It'll help keep them moist and delicious. We'll just pour this pitcher of water in right here. Whew, sounds a little angry. I should have poured it in sooner, but I kind of forgot. So now that this guy is lit, let's go ahead and let's put some ribs on. We'll just set this guy right here in the back, make him nice and comfortable. Set this guy in the front. Now when you do, make sure you push them together some, so that way you don't have a bunch of long, skinny ribs. That way as you cut them up, they're nice, thick, healthy, and delicious. We'll get our door shut here. And I'm gonna bring this guy down a little bit just to help keep some of the smoke in. Now this thing has a smoke setting on it. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave it on that smoke setting for about 15 minutes. That way it gets a good initial bark and a little bit of flavor on it right before we even really start the smoking. And while we're waiting our 15 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and take my little bit of apple juice here, pour it in my spray bottle and get it ready because, about every 45 minutes to an hour or so, I'm gonna come on and put this on there. It'll help give it a good coating and it'll help keep it from drying out. All right, 15 minutes has gone by on the smoke setting. I'm gonna bump it up to 225. We got 3 hours of waiting with nothing but it just sitting there cooking and getting better and better every minute. And after 3 hours is when we pull it out, and that's when we start to do our scientific test on which paper works better. And there we have it, some right pretty ribs. I tell you what, the paprika on it plus the smoke gives it this awesome color to it. Now we've got our paper laid out. And the first thing you notice is the parchment paper is a little skinnier than the butcher paper. I'm sure you can get bigger parchment paper, but well, this is what we had in the cabinet. And again, scientific experiment. We're gonna see what happens. Now from here, I'm gonna take and put a little brown sugar down because I want that little bit of a sweet glaze. So we're just gonna crumble this on here rather nicely. Now I'm gonna take me a couple pats of butter and set them in there. I don't know what the actual definition on size-wise is of a pat of butter, but we're gonna put about that much, and we'll put about 3 pats of butter. And that way we've got plenty for the ribs to marinate in as it sits here and goes along for the next 2 hours of their life. Let's see, we'll grab the smaller ones, since again the paper is a little smaller. We'll put them with the meat side down here. Oh yeah, they even look good on the bottom. Now this is where if you wanted to dress them up, you could go through and take these little crispy bits off of them, and that way, you know, it just looks better when you're done, but it's aesthetics. We're not doing a cooking competition here. We're just making some ribs. So now I got this set. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take this back in, pull it over, fold this guy in, fold this guy in, create a little happy home for it. And we are gonna fold this guy up. See, I took my counterweight off and it rolled up on me. There's our test batch of wrapped ribs. Now let's rinse and repeat and do the same thing for the big boys. All right, things are looking good here. Go up underneath, stab, grab, and roll it right down. Now, just like before, fold it up, tuck it in. Make sure all that sugar stays underneath it because we want that sweet glaze to it. Now, get out of here. I don't need to wait no more. Now, back into the smoker for 2 hours. After 2 hours, we'll pull them back out and we'll see what we got.
Hello everyone. Today I decided to hack into Chef's email. He hasn't been checking it, so I might as well do it. Someone's got to keep the place running around here. Now I wanted to say hey to 3 people in particular. A bloke named Michael, Jr., Nathan, and Sierra. You guys have been entered into the contest. That's amazing. I tell you what, I can't do this without you guys. Now for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, we are giving away stickers. That's right, Bigfoot cooking stickers. These guys are cool. They'll stick to just about everything. Now all you have to do is send an email to this address right here. That's right, it will send you straight to this computer right here, where we can keep a tally. Now I know Chef is running a contest right now. All you have to do is send an email, and 8 of you will randomly win. But 1 of you wins instantly, because you will be the 750th subscriber. Just take a screenshot and send it in below. The other one, well, Chef wants to see something cool and amazing. I don't know. Surprise him with something, and you will get a sticker. He even said something about you won't even get a tax form. Whatever taxes are. Not my problem. So I hope you guys enjoy. The ribs will be done soon. And oh, we are gonna eat. So you guys take care. I'm going back to my cave with air conditioning.
Amazing. 2 hours passed, just like that. Don't you love editing? Now let's take a look at what's hiding in here. Like I said, I've pulled them off the grill, set them here. I don't even know what's inside yet. So let's peek and let's see. We'll start with this one since it's closest to me. And this is the one I'm kind of curious about. So if we unwrap, what do we got? Ooh. All right. We are definitely holding the juices in it. Let me go ahead and grab my tongs so I can pick it up here. Oh yeah. I'm gonna fight, but I'm gonna win. Look at that right there. Absolutely dripping with juices. There's one thing I'm noticing here is that with a parchment paper, let's see, I hope I can get this on the camera here. Look at that right there. You got plenty of juices left over. So it's that little bit of waterproofing that we got here in the paper. Well, it does good at holding everything in. So we'll set this away. Now, let's take a peek at what's under our butcher paper, just to see if there's differences. Now, one thing I am noticing right off the rip, there's less liquid in it. There's some, but not as much. But the paper actually will absorb it compared to the parchment, which it won't absorb nothing. So we'll pull these bad boys out. Man, these things are hot. Oh, come on. We'll slide you right off. All right. You know what? These guys look good too. They're sitting there they look just about as juicy as the first one. So I don't know if there's any difference between these two, other than the peach paper is a little more expensive and a little more wide, but I've got a big old thing of juices in the bottom of it. It looks exactly the same here. Now we're going to put it back on the smoker for a little while, where this thing is so soaking wet from all the juices coming out of it. I'm going to put it back on the smoker. We're going to let it sit for anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on. I'm going to give it another good coating with apple juice. That way it gives it one more chance to kind of sweeten it up. And then from there, we're pulling it off and we'll see what they look like in the kitchen. Now, again, this is how do you want to cook your ribs? You know, everybody's got their own secret way, their secret sauce, their secret flavor. For me, again, this is our test run. We're just keeping it simple. But if you want to put barbecue sauce on, now would be the time. So let's get these guys back into the smoker. All right, we've given ourselves about 40 minutes of a relaxing smoke time out of the wrapping. Let's see what we got hiding inside. Whoosh. Let's go ahead and pull it off and we'll head to the inside where we can cut these guys up and eat. Now, the easiest way I found to cut these guys, go ahead and flip them over so that you can see the bones on them. And then just that way you can see how to run your knife in. That way you're not like stabbing and fighting. You can just see bone to bone. And you can come on in here. Let's see, get where everything's clear. And I'm not cutting into a bone. Ooh, well, you know, I'm having a little trouble here. They're so tender. Let's see. If I can get a good cut on one. Well, I'd love to show you the perfect rib, but you know that fall off the bone trick? Well, we're falling off the bone and I ain't even got to the biting. I mean, look at it. You got that pink smoke going in there. Oh yeah, that's the flavor you're looking for. And well, let's just eat it, shall we? One clean bone and about 35 to go. Oh man, I'm starting to make that face I said I never would. But guys, this is good. This is smoker action. This is ribs. This is what you want. And this is me making sure that you know that Bigfoot is real. But he really ain't getting none of these ribs. These are mine. I ain't even walking off. I'm pulling security. These guys are going in the tum-tum. Y'all take care. So I realized halfway through dinner, because the family was hungry, I was hungry, the dogs were hungry, we forgot to cut the other rack of ribs on camera. But let me put it this way. Both of them, same tenderness, same deliciousness, same flavor, same everything. I mean, like you saw me struggling to cut the one, well, the other one was the same exact way. I just stood the rack up and slow sliced it. That's the only way I got meat to stay on the bones. I mean, guys, I don't know. There's really not a big difference that I could see between the peach paper and the parchment paper, except the peach paper does allow a little bit of the smoke into it, and it wicks away some of the extra oil, as opposed to the parchment where everything stays right there. I mean, I almost feel like parchment's pretty close to using tinfoil. So whichever one you want to wrap it with. The only difference is parchment's a little tougher, so you're not going to have that the bones poking the hole through the tin and losing all your moisture that way. Either way you go, I don't think you can mess up. The flavor was good. The smoke was excellent on these things. and the Tum Tum is happy. But most of all, I mean, the biggest thing that we took away tonight is that Bigfoot is real. Y'all take care. Like I say, we got 3 hours just like this. No nothing but spraying it with applesauce. Sometimes a piece of paper.
And when I feel like this, I'm immortal. When I feel like this, I'm immortal.